How I became a billionaire in Hypixel Skyblock. There are multiple tiers of wealth, and different tiers require different types of effort to generate income. The lowest tier of wealth requires labor. This can be farming carrots, ores, etc. for little to no income, but it's an unavoidable tier. You must surpass this tier before you can get into higher levels of wealth. The middle tier. This tier has access to passive income, but labor is still more effective in this tier. You'll see members of the middle class grinding special zealots, slayers, perhaps dungeons, and many more. The high tier. At this tier, you have so much money that the most cost-effective way of making more money is investments. This can be heavy minion investments, item investments, and skin investments. You can also engage in market manipulation, although I don't consider this an investment. At this tier of wealth, it is simply foolish to keep all your wealth, your accumulated value, in coin. Just like in all economies, inflation exists. Inflation eats away at the poor and makes the rich richer. The statement isn't always true. The reason the statement works in today's markets is because the poor aren't investors. The economy of Skyblock is incredibly easy to exploit. I believe this is due to the younger player base. Let's face it, younger people aren't often going to understand inflation, investment, the idea of value, and especially not the idea of sacrifice for your future self. Let's be honest, most people around my age don't understand any of these, which is sad to me because it considerably decreases their ability to preserve wealth in the real world. Let's go way back to when I first started Skyblock. The first auction purchases I ever did consisted of me selling piggy banks. Why, you may ask? I found out that the material cost to craft piggy banks were less than their selling price on the auction house. So I would simply buy the materials, craft the piggy bank, and sell them for a profit on the auction house. Other than that, I believe I grinded the game like an ordinary player, and eventually I got into grinding Enderman. This was way before the Enderman Slayers came out, and none of my Enderman kills would count toward the Slayers. I managed to get over 110,000 Enderman kills. And I got extremely lucky because in those 110,000 kills, I got 2 legendary Enderman pets. This instantly boosted my net worth by about 40 mil and opened up investment opportunities. As you may know, the spooky Enderman skin was the very first skin that came out. I managed to pick up around 8 for like 4 to 8 mil each. I sold 3 of them at 40 mil each, making a profit margin of 500 to 1000%. The other 5 are lost to time. I must have sold them much earlier, before the auction history was recorded. The current lowest buy it now for the spooky Enderman skins are 150 mil, and I've seen them multiple times reach 400 to 500 mil. I also bought and sold some baby skins, but I can only find 2 of them in the auction sell history. I sold one much earlier off for a considerably lower profit margin, and the one I sold just a year later sold for 165 million compared to 29 million. The skins were a very appealing investment to me, and still are, because skins have a finite supply, meaning they have a limited number in existence. Combine that with the fact that when you apply a skin to a helmet/item, it is no longer a skin. It's an item with a skin, which means the already finite supply will decrease over time as people use these skins. Although skins have far less liquidity than other investment classes, they certainly do appreciate in value. The earliest skins seeing up to 1000% returns in just 1 year or 2. Actually, it's 1000 to 10,000%. Later on, the Jerry Mayor came along, and out came the Jerry Shin Guns. Not only did these weapons have utility, but once the mayor was gone, it would be months before he might return again. I ended up buying a backpack full of Jerry Shin Guns at anywhere between 1 to 4 mil each. I managed to sell all of the Jerry Shin Guns that I had left at 8 mil each, making me double my initial investment. However, I got incredibly lucky. Just after I sold my entire stash, the Jerry Shin Guns got nerfed so heavily that the price plummeted and they became mostly worthless. This highlights the risk that goes into investments of this type. If I had sold just a little bit later, I would have been left with 10 times less money than I invested. This is why I encourage and employ diversification. Don't put all your money into one asset or item. Not all my investments have been profitable. In fact, I have lost money on a lot of investments, but because I employed diversification, my Skyblock portfolio was overall up in value. This last story of my Skyblock adventure may be one of the most important lessons in Skyblock. When the Mithril update came out, I took advantage of the market and made millions. You see, when an update comes out, people get excited, they get risky. They want the best items before anyone else, and having this mindset comes at a premium. When the update came out, I quickly realized that you could easily get goblin armor. It was less than a 1 in 100 drop rate for all the armored pieces combined, and that was further increased by looting and magic find. I was able to acquire probably 30 armor pieces, and they were selling at a ridiculous 800k each. I made something like 50 mil just grinding goblin armor, and by now the armor is absolutely worthless at a price of 2 to 5k each. The prices only stayed incredibly high for a few hours. However, after a few days, Treasurite increased to 800k. I had already realized by now that the Treasurite drop rate was pretty low, and it was affected by magic find. This item, worth more than Special Zealot Eyes, was a far easier drop to acquire at a 1 in 200 drop chance. Practically no one was grinding treasure hoarders, and this only made it even easier. Most people focused on playing the update and mining Mithril, while I looked elsewhere, where no one else looked. The reason people lost money instead of making money on this event was because they were buying pickaxes in hopes of getting good stuff instead of selling the items from the update to others, which is where the real money was to be made. Other YouTubers grinded ghosts and made like 200 mil from one day of grinding. I was strictly a mage build at this time and was unable to grind ghosts, which is why I grinded treasure hoarders and still made a sizable profit. When updates come out, you need to be very cautious about buying items, and selling items is where profit is to be made. There's a quote / analogy for this. You can mine for gold or you can sell pickaxes. During the gold rush, everybody was racing to strike it rich to mine some gold, but the real money was made selling pickaxes and supplies to all the people trying to get lucky. The most successful businessmen of the time made their money this way. In summary, I elected to go the lazy route to success, the path with the least effort. I invested and took advantage of market upturns and downturns to increase my wealth. It appears that the current single best way of making money may be ghosts. However, in order to effectively grind ghosts, it requires a multi-million setup and the hundreds of millions of coins. I do not currently have enough knowledge to know for certain the current best method. As you may have seen, I didn't even know dragons had a bestiary until I recorded this video. If you do manage to get into the high tier, I would recommend you stay away from gambling and doing dragons. Dragons are a complete gamble, and gambling is how you lose money. I only did a few dragons for fun, and knew I wouldn't make a profit. Which I didn't, by the way. If you are wealthy enough that you want to do them for fun, that's another thing. Just know the chances are not in your favor.